Do you reckon we can get away with this? Let's try. Let's carry on. Welcome to something that I've not really done before, and that's going to be a sneaky little Photoshop tutorial. Today, we're trying to make amends for that UV filter hack. Didn't quite work. We did not get the bokeh that we wanted. So, we're going to fake it. Today, we're creating that bokeh brush. So let's dive into Photoshop and see what we can do. So first up, you're going to want to create yourself a new workspace. I'm going to go for a 500 by 500. Remember, we're only creating a brush, so it doesn't need to be a massive canvas. We just want a little thing to create a brush shape and then save that as a brush. So 500 by 500 right here, that's going to be absolutely fine. Smash create. Oh, I've already got a massive circle on mine. So what we're going to do now is create the shape that we want for our bokeh. Bokeh? I'm going to call it whatever. It's going to change throughout the video, but let's just create the shape for it. You can go down to this bit here, the polygon tool, or whatever it will show up as yours, or whatever it will look like in yours. It'll probably be a rectangle tool. Let's say, what haven't I got? I've got quite a few, but I've not got a 12-sided one. So I've chosen polygon. If you're doing your first one, you might want to just do the same, but you're gonna use a ellipse tool and create a circular one. Pretty standard, but I'm gonna try and get a 12-sided one just here. So I'm gonna go up to sides, change that to 12. Oh, we don't want any of that just yet. Now, in the middle of this white canvas, I'm going to create a black. So to get to the normal default colors, I like to call it, you smash D, that will give you black and white. If you hit X, it will change between, over here, it will change between white and the black being the foreground color. Black needs to be your foreground color here. I'm going to hit Shift, which will make us draw a nice regular shape. It won't be skewed to hell. And I'm going to draw it that sort of shape. Now don't worry, it's only showing part of it. There it is. And I'm going to put it slap bang in the middle of the canvas. Probably about that size. The size that you draw it on your canvas isn't going to make much difference. It's all going to be relative later when you choose your brush size, when you're actually doing it on an image. So right now I'm going to go and, if I can remember where to put it, edit, define brush preset. I'm going to save this as custom bokeh what's the name for a 12-sided shape? Dodec. I used to be an absolute wizard with knowing them when I was a kid. I'll call it 1. I don't know why. Let's put a 1 there. Okay, awesome. That's us done, right? Job done. Not quite yet. What we're going to do is we're going to create another new document. Make this one a little bit bigger, because this is where we're going to hone the brush, and this is where we're going to test it out. So I'll do the 2560 by 1440 just because it looks nice on this monitor. Now, ready to test out your new brush? We're going to go up here, custom bokeh dodec. That doesn't look like bokeh. That's because we've missed so much good stuff. Let me get rid of that, Control Z. Over here in the brush settings, this is where we're going to make it truly into that bokeh brush. First of all, I'm going to want to go to scattering. We're going to need some of that. Now this is the perfect bit. This is where it becomes a brush of bokeh rather than a smear. Use this scatter slider. You can see down here in this preview panel what's going on. Now I'm going to want to scatter it quite a bit. Count's going to tell you how many, or relatively how much of your shapes to have in it. Count jitter will be for every movement, how much do you want it to go above and below this sort of preview that you're seeing. I quite like a high amount because then it looks less uniform. It looks more real because bokeh doesn't happen perfectly uniform throughout the photo. So I have that quite high. Don't really want any texture in it. Smoothing's already on. Fair enough. If we do look at texture, is there anything we want in there? Not really. Now this is the sort of thing that you're going to be going through. You're going to go through these options and you're going to tweak it a little bit. So size jitter, yes. I don't want them all being the same size, so I'm going to go relatively high. Angle jitter. So that's going to be, are they all going to be orientated in the same place? Are they going to be exactly square? No, I don't want them all to be exactly square. So let's have a little bit of that. It doesn't really matter too much when you're dealing with a regular shape, because if you choose an angle that's a correct angle, they're all going to line up again anyway. So we want them, whatever. Roundness jitter. Now this is one that the initial, this is one that the initial tutorial that I followed didn't really touch, and I think it's quite important. And that will be how much does it squash, how much does it go a bit lemon shaped. And obviously when you're using lenses, it's very rare that you have a perfectly circular bokeh. And actually quite a lot of films look for that less circular one. So let's get some of that in. Not too much though, otherwise it will look completely wonky. You don't want that. Now let's have a think. Color dynamics, that's the next one. How much do you want that bokeh all to be exactly the same color and all exactly the same tone? Not really, it's going to variate quite a bit. Sorry, I'm going to be fighting with this all the way through. So I'm going to have hue jitter. You're not going to see it too much in the preview I've got here because I've been really clever and selected white. But I found that about 7 or 9% works really nicely. Saturation jitter. I found that if you went with a high number with this, it would just be super saturated. You don't really want that. You still want it to look like real bokeh. ND filter again. We're battling with the natural light coming through this window. So that's color dynamics. Brightness jitter, you can do a little bit of that if you want. Now the next one is the last trick there is for me, and that's transfer. And it's opacity jitter. I don't know what this will be standard because I've already done this. I'm hitting that at 100% because we want some that were a lot less opaque, a lot more transparent than others. That's just going to give us a bit of depth in our bokeh. Speaking with my hands. And I think that's it. I did play around with adding noise. You can add some noise, and that does add a little bit of grain to it. And I was in two minds. It makes it look a little bit more realistic, but then it also makes it look a little bit generated. I don't know if that really makes sense. Like, bokehs wouldn't have a completely even surface, but it wouldn't be perfectly generated noise. Well, I think that's our first step done. So that's it, right? That's it. No, you want to save this as your brush. So up here to this, what would be in Android, a hamburger menu. What's this? This is like a Big Mac menu. New brush preset. Now I'm going to go back and call that Dodec 1 again. And it's let me do that. So let's go up to here into brushes. And we're going to right click and we're going to delete that one we had before that just looked like a smear. That is gone. Get that out of here. That's us successfully created our bokeh brush. You want to see me test this one out, right? Yeah, I thought so. So let me show you how that will look in real life. Well, in editing life on this image here. Once again, we're using my friend Bruce from the day that we had at Godreevy when this should have worked with the UV filter hack. If you've still not seen that video, here's the link right up there. Okay, so it's selected our bokeh brush as default. I don't really want to be hitting it on that background layer. I'm not going to go through the editing of all of this photo, I don't think. Or will I? No. So let's just add some bokeh just so you can see how this would work. I actually kind of want to put a gradient on afterwards as well to make it look a little bit more believable. So we've got black and white. It's not going to look good having black and white bokeh. So let's choose ourselves a color from over here, somewhere around here. For me, just playing around with it, you'll soon find out what you want. And then click and drag. And I've got black. I've got black because I didn't change the foreground and background color. Control Z, and then I can hit X to switch those colors. Same thing again, click, drag. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of bokeh there, and it looks terrible. Absolutely terrible. Change the screen mode. Change the blend mode to screen and start lowering the opacity. Lower it quite a lot. Okay, so around there. That looks a little bit more believable. But we wouldn't have all of this jazz up and around here. So easy, mask it out. I think a lot of you by now would already be familiar enough with Photoshop to be able to carry on with your own editing and not need any further intervention from me. But I'll just finish out. We'll just pretend that everyone knows nothing. And I'm just going to take it away from the face. And all you're going to do, if you have... I'll lower my opacity a little bit on this brush. I'm painting on black onto a white mask over here. And that's going to remove bokeh from anywhere I don't want it to be. And if you lower the opacity of the black brush you're using, you can effectively fade out even further and more selectively some of those bokeh spots. How nice is that? Probably, I like the detail on his arm, so I probably want some more of that back. But we can see there's some going on here, and that is very similar to what we wanted to achieve with the UV filter. But I'm not finished yet. Because what's better than one layer of bokeh? Another layer of a slightly different tone. Okay, so I'm going to go slightly lighter with this one. Again, don't forget to switch the colors, because whatever you picked up here is going to be your background color. Smash X, now it's your foreground color. I might go a little bit smaller on the bokeh brush this time, which will just mean that the average size of what you're painting on will be smaller, because we've got that size jitter going on. Let's just put a little bit there and a little bit there. Will it make sense to have it anywhere else? Well, I'm going to put a filter on it, a gradient filter. That's going to make it look like the sun's beaming in. So I can probably get away with some there. Again, over here, blend mode to screen. Start taking that opacity down. Okay, it's kind of making some nice sense where it is there. Smash the mask. Make sure it's white there, and you've got to change your brush from the bokeh brush. Otherwise, you'll be trying to bokeh brush on your mask, and you're going to have a very hard job doing that. And now, I'm just going to paint away a little bit of these. Actually, I kind of want that bit back. Now, because of the way we made the brush, you might think that it's very random where we're actually applying these spots. If you wanted to be a lot more specific where you put the spots, don't click and drag, just click singly and exactly where you want it to be, and that's how you control it with a fine-tooth comb. That looks, let's see the change there. So we've gone from standard with some bokeh. standard bokeh. Now, just to sell the idea a little bit, because the image is quite flat at the minute, we're not going to go for the perfect edit right here, but let's at least make it a little bit believable in this shot. So you're going to take a linear gradient, and you're just going to make it look like the sun's beaming in a little bit. Can't quite get this angle correct. There we go, and you can use the same thing. Screen, start dropping the opacity a little bit. There we go. So now it looks like the sun's beaming in on his face, hitting those spots on the lens, causing that bokeh. I think going from that to that, having created our own bokeh brush so we can do it on anything we want, I think this has been a success. This has been a video that I've made that's been a success. And if you'd like to see more, make sure to subscribe. But for now, my name's Andrew. I really like using fountain pens. This one I've had for 10 years. But thanks for watching. Well, I actually managed to get all that done, and the coffee's still warm. Ha! That's the taste of success right there. Yes! I spoke too soon. You see, I didn't check the settings of OBS recording. I'd assumed it would record in a format that, you know, you could use it in Premiere Pro. MKV. Who's heard of MKV? Not me. So now I've got OBS over here, using the source file that it just recorded as an MKV, and it is now re-recording that as an MP4. So it's kind of like a photocopy of a photocopy. So hopefully the quality is okay, and hopefully you've learned something. Thanks for watching.